The world has been thrown into a frenzy as U.S. President Donald Trump has officially implemented the dreaded 25% tariff on imported cars, a move that has sent shockwaves through global markets and triggered an international firestorm. The automotive industry, already grappling with post-pandemic disruptions, is now facing yet another seismic shift that could redefine global trade. Consumers, automakers, and entire economies are bracing for the economic tremors that will inevitably follow. Car prices, which had already seen a dramatic upswing following the coronavirus pandemic, are expected to skyrocket even further. Experts are warning Americans to prepare for hefty price hikes, not just on imported cars but on vehicles across the board. With tariffs applying to key components like engines and transmissions, even cars assembled in the U.S. will not be spared. A once relatively stable auto market is now in complete turmoil, and the world is watching anxiously. But why is Trump doing this? The president, speaking from the Oval Office, declared that the tariffs would fundamentally alter the economic landscape in favor of the United States. He insisted that other nations had been exploiting the American auto industry for too long, and it was time to level the playing field. He stated that the United States would charge countries for doing business within its borders and taking American jobs and wealth. He expressed confidence that this move would spur growth like never seen before. His administration also justified the measure on national security grounds, arguing that dependence on foreign auto imports undermined the strength of the U.S. industrial base. The timing of this announcement is particularly jarring given that, just earlier this month, the White House had granted a temporary exemption at the behest of 3 major U.S. automakers. That month-long reprieve, however, is now over, and America has slammed the trade gates shut. The repercussions of this decision have been swift and severe. Across the Atlantic, European leaders are fuming, with Germany leading the charge against Trump's aggressive trade policies. German Economy Minister Robert Habeck did not mince words, calling for a unified European response, warning that the European Union must now give a firm response to the tariffs, and it must be clear that they will not back down in the face of the USA. Meanwhile, Hildegard Müller, president of the German Association of the Automotive Industry, warned of the catastrophic impact on global supply chains, declaring that the tariffs sent a disastrous signal for free, rules-based trade. Japan, another major auto exporter to the U.S., has also been quick to react. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba voiced Japan's dismay, reminding Washington that Japan was a country making the largest amount of investment to the United States. He questioned whether a blanket tariff applied to all nations made economic sense, and vowed that Japan would explore all available options to counteract the impact. The European Commission has echoed these concerns, with President Ursula von der Leyen bluntly stating that the tariffs were bad for businesses, worse for consumers. France's Finance Minister Eric Lombard declared that the only logical response would be for the European Union to impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, a move that could escalate tensions into a full-fledged trade war. French President Emmanuel Macron was equally blunt, warning that Trump's decision could trigger an economic spiral. Elsewhere, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney vowed to defend his country's auto industry, asserting that Canada would defend its workers, companies, and country together. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiaqun weighed in, stating that no country's development and prosperity are achieved by imposing tariffs. The UK, trying to maneuver itself amid a highly volatile situation, has been scrambling to secure favorable trade terms, with Finance Minister Rachel Reeves admitting that her government was working intensely these next few days to try and secure a good deal for Britain. In South Korea, the shock has prompted urgent government meetings. Trade and Industry Minister Han Duck-joon convened an emergency session with major automakers, pledging to devise countermeasures. He assured the nation that the government will work closely with the industry to devise countermeasures and, in coordination with other ministries, announce a comprehensive emergency response plan for the auto sector in April. But what does this all mean for the average American consumer? The reality is grim. Industry analysts predict that car prices will see a drastic surge, with Goldman Sachs estimating that imported vehicle prices could jump anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Even domestically assembled models won't be immune, as tariffs on foreign components could raise costs by $3,000 to $8,000 per car. The financial burden will extend beyond the showroom floor. Maintenance, insurance, and replacement parts will all become more expensive. For automakers, the fallout could be just as devastating. The U.S. imports approximately 8 million cars annually, accounting for about $240 billion in trade. Mexico, South Korea, Japan, Canada, and Germany, all of which heavily supply the U.S. market, now face massive financial losses. In retaliation, some countries could restrict American car exports, further destabilizing the industry. If history is any indication, such aggressive protectionist policies could backfire, prompting trade partners to impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods beyond just the automotive sector. Perspectives on this issue remain deeply polarized. Trump and his administration argue that these tariffs are a necessary corrective measure designed to resuscitate American manufacturing. They insist that the economic gains will far outweigh the short-term disruption. Trump has repeatedly maintained that if foreign automakers want to avoid tariffs, they should build their cars in America. Meanwhile, the affected countries see this as an unjustified and reckless attack on global trade. Mexico, for instance, which supplies the most vehicles to the U.S., fears that its auto industry could face irreparable damage. Japan and South Korea, both of which have deeply integrated supply chains with American companies, are considering strategic economic countermeasures. Germany, which relies heavily on exports to the U.S., views this as an economic assault that could jeopardize thousands of jobs. Germany's response to Trump's 25% tariffs will likely center on a coordinated European Union effort, combining diplomatic pressure for negotiations with the potential for targeted retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, while simultaneously accelerating market diversification to reduce reliance on the American market. There will also likely be strategic adjustments of supply chains and increased investment in U.S.-based production to mitigate the economic impact and protect its vital automotive industry. The question now is, what happens next? Will the European Union retaliate with equally punitive measures, plunging the world into a full-blown trade war? Will Japan and South Korea seek alternative markets to offset their losses? How will American consumers react when they start seeing sticker prices soar on dealership lots? These are the unanswered questions that now hang over the global economy like a dark cloud. One thing is certain: Trump's 25% tariff on imported cars has set the stage for a major international showdown. The world economy is now in uncharted territory, and the decisions made in the coming weeks will shape the future of global trade for years to come. Will this be a defining victory for America, or the spark that ignites an economic war with consequences no one can predict? The world waits with bated breath. Your perspective matters. What do you make of President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on imported cars? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our current affairs channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.